Hello, my name is Moses Cannon, and this is my teacher interview assignment for Education 1301. Let's go ahead and get this started. Okay, tell me about yourself. About me, well, my name is Moses Cannon. I am an El Paso native. I'm currently a sophomore at El Paso Community College. Once I finish my associates at El Paso Community College, I'm going to be transferring to the University of Texas at El Paso, where I'm going to be getting my bachelor's in social studies education. I am a father of two. I have a girl and a boy. Some of my interests would be cars, wrenching on my cars, doing modifications. I also like shoes, collecting things such as Jordans, Nikes, Yeezys, or anything I feel like would make my a good part of my collection in my closet. I've also been interested in home improvement since the whole pandemic. Uh, Made a garden, put together a swing set for my kids, did some painting as usual. Let's go ahead and get on to the next slide. That's enough about myself. Hardest thing I've had to do in my life and what I've learned about it. So the hardest thing I've had to overcome in my life would be when I broke my back in 2010 in a car accident. It was a rollover, and that was the hardest thing to overcome because it was a lot of physical therapy. Aqua aerobics. I couldn't walk for 10 months, so I was basically in a wheelchair. Needed assistance getting in and out of cars, getting out of bed sometimes. So that was the hardest thing that I did have to overcome, was learning how to walk. The thing that I've learned from that situation, though, was that anything that you put your mind to and have faith in, you can overcome it. Because I couldn't walk for 10 months, but I was very determined to be able to walk again and be able to do things like go to the mall by myself, or go hang out with my friends, or be in places that aren't handicap accessible like hiking or going to Rio Doso rivers or anything like that, off-roading. So that was the hardest thing I had to overcome, and I learned a lot about myself and my strength. The next question is going to be, why do I want to teach? So me personally, I want to teach because I had a lot of academic issues when I was in middle school. I learned I had ADD, so I had a lot of hard time focusing. I was learning, but I had a hard time focusing. So if I learned something really quick, I would just want to talk after I've learned what the teacher was teaching me. So basically, it's just due off of my own personal experience. My grandmother was a teacher. I have two uncles that were teachers and a principal. So it's just feel like it's in my blood to be a teacher. I want to be a mentor. I've been mentoring basketball students. My dad does own a Cannon-EDUC center, so we have been teaching kids basketball drills in the community of Dallas, Texas. And I just want to be more involved in my community and be a mentor to some of these future leaders of our country and push them in the right direction where they need to be. And the next question is going to be my teaching and education philosophy. So my personal teaching and education philosophy is going to be making sure that my students are critical thinkers. My teaching aspirations involve critical thinking because I feel critical thinkers are able to take what they know and apply it to what's being taught to them, and figure out or find a way to figure out the correct answers in anything that they do with the available information to solve their problems. I also want to be a person who builds self-esteem in these kids. Because there is a lot of bullying. Cyberbullying is at an all-time high as well. So kids with higher self-esteem they really aren't affected as much with bullying. One thing that I also want to have in my philosophy is it's not a cookie cutter teaching thing. So there is a lot of times where you're gonna have to make your lecture tailor made to some of these students so they can have a better comprehension of what is actually being taught to them. So that's one thing. It would be critical thinking, um, tailor made lectures, and building self esteem in the youth. What role will discipline play in my teaching, and what will be my approach? So, discipline is going to be a big thing in mine. It's all about respect. I would have respect for my students, and I would like for my students to have respect for me as well. Meaning, basically, just like in sports, you count on your coach, you count on your teammates to work together. So we're all gonna work together and get through this. No one's gonna be left behind. So that's gonna be my approach with that. So the discipline and people who are gonna be act up in the classroom, we're gonna go ahead and redirect them and let them know to get back on task. And if they're still having issues, see why they're having the issue of getting on task and why they're acting out, and then we'll solve it from there. There really isn't an agenda. We're just gonna take it as it comes and figure out an option to discipline the student once it happens. The next question are, what are the greatest challenges teachers face today? So after doing my interviews, I found that there was a few challenges that teachers are facing today. One of them was a lack of funding. I believe that was Miss Cruz, Coach Cruz. The lack of funding for the physical education and the campus that she was at not having actual field to do some of the activities, so they were kind of missing out on that. She had to make do with what she had, and even with the intramurals, she had to buy a lot of things out of her pocket and not being reimbursed. But I understand her. I've done it plenty of times, and you just want to see the kids happy and learning something new. Um, and then we had the lack of community support. That was Miss Mendoza. So she believes that the lack of community support, meaning a lot of the people in the community aren't really interested in what's going on with the kids' schools or what they're learning, or not promoting reading at home, not promoting doing homework before you go out and play or things like that, or before they get on the games nowadays. That's one of the big issues with kids basically just coming home, putting their homework to the side and just getting on video games or social media. Of lack of dual language. That was Miss Davila. So us living in the border town from Juarez, Mexico, there is a lot of students that speak two languages, or multiple, even more than that, three languages. English, Spanish. There is some kids that even know Chinese or French, and I think they should promote that a lot more in our schools, because when you go into the working force, you do get higher pay, or some jobs they don't hire you unless you can speak two languages. So I think that should be implemented in our schools to make sure that our kids are dual language and have better opportunities once they hit the workforce. How do you feel about technology, and how will I use it? So technology is a great thing right now, especially with what's going on with the pandemic. A lot of people didn't know what they were going to do, how they were going to reach their students. Me personally, I had my teachers use either Blackboard, Collaborate, or Zoom. Those I saw were a lot of great ones. There's Google Classroom. So I think it is a great opportunity for us to do the social distancing, but still being able to stay in touch like we're in a classroom together. And I believe that's how I will use it too. Whatever new applications I feel are going to help my students excel, then I am going to go ahead and utilize those tools for my students. And that's going to be one of my major things, is using technology to help us get through this. How would I deal with an upset parent? So dealing with an upset parent, first and foremost, I'm going to be very polite and respectful and listen to why they're upset and see what the reason is, and give them a chance to explain what's really bothering them with the worksheet or assignment that I have assigned. And then after I heard them out, I'm going to explain to them what the reason behind the assignment or worksheet it was that I provided, and just let them know this is what it is and this is why we're doing it and how it's going to benefit their child for their future. And that's pretty much how I would handle an upset parent, just being very respectful, listening, and once they're done expressing their point of view, I'm just going to go ahead and let them know exactly why I have given their student this assignment. And anything else would be just pushed to the side, and just make sure that I'm very respectful and make accommodations as needed. How will I keep my students engaged in my classroom? Well, me personally, I would keep my students engaged by having creative activities, group work as well, and surprise attacks, meaning that I'll call on certain students just to make sure that they're paying attention and make sure that they're comprehending the work, because there is going to be some students that you believe they're paying attention, but they could be lost. So I just want to make sure that all of my students are up to par and no one gets left behind, and I'm just teaching to the best of my capabilities. Why should you hire me for the teaching position? I believe I should be hired for the teaching position because I do care a lot about my community. I have good work ethic, and I also believe that I'm the best fit for your company because I am very passionate about teaching and I'm passionate about our youth. That's why I believe I should be hired for this job, because I'm passionate about the youth, passionate about teaching, and I care about my community and our future leaders. Let's see. So thank you for watching this. Again, my name is Moses Cannon. This is for Education 1301, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Have a good day.